Welcome to this month's small group. I know it's been a couple months. I apologize. Let's just say the little ones have been keeping me busy. But we want to get back into the swing of things. We're going to do it this month and next month, and then we'll jump into next year, obviously. We're going to talk tonight about the clerical collar. Chuck Nose Church went over the clerical collar, the different uses. We're going to dig a little bit deeper into that and try to figure out, maybe even where it originated from, beyond some of the things, and maybe some things you didn't know about the collar. And it's not just necessarily for any specific denomination. So the different religious attires you probably have seen pastors, priests, and other religious figures wear varies widely. It can go anywhere from a robe that we see the pastors wear, or priest or reverends wear at a service, all the way down to just a plain suit that they might wear, or even just a dress shirt and dress pants. The attire has changed a lot throughout the years. Some of the reasons why you've seen more religious folks or religious pastors and so forth, or people of religion, dress differently is they felt that they were set apart for certain purposes, and this is some of them, not all of them, that wanted to be distinctive from the average person. One of the things that we talk about when we get into later on is kind of blending into the crowd and setting them apart, like I said. So robes have been worn. Many pastors wear them every Sunday. Some don't. Some only wear them on special occasions, like a Black Friday or an Easter service, as opposed to every single service you come along. The collars, that's something you see somewhere and some don't, and sometimes it's more in public venues that you see it, as opposed to their own home churches upon normal occasions. Kind of distinctive again, where somebody sees a collar, they're like, oh, that's a priest or somebody that leads a church, as opposed to just an average laity person. Like we said, suits are another big thing. Sometimes you see the stoles on them as well, or the hoods. Very similar to when you see somebody graduate with master's or higher, you see that thing around their neck. Not necessarily just a gown that they're wearing, their cap and gown, but that stole or that hood that goes over as well. That can be some significance, again, to set them apart from the laity. Sometimes just shirts do it. And in some of the research that we did after this, we also found out that shirt colors had a significance. If they were wearing the collar, it was more a black shirt for pastors and priests, as opposed to when you got to bishops, where it was more a purple or maroon shirt that was designated for them, even above and beyond the priest or the pastors as well. So color can also play a part in this, and it's not just the collar insignia or emblem that stands them apart, even within the own religious leader fashion, like we said with bishops and pastors. So a lot of different ways that it's erupted or evaluated or evolved throughout the years in the attire that a clergy person would wear. Collars are not just for Catholics anymore, and I threw that in there because I know when I think of a collar, I'm thinking priest and Catholic religion, and that's it, but that is not the case. Many other denominations use it. In fact, we'll talk about where it originated from and who came up with a modern collar that you see mostly today. Methodist, as well as any other denomination, can use the collar. In the Methodist religion or denomination, they have the option if they want to wear a collar or not to wear a collar. The one author that wrote one of the references that we were researching said that even the licensed local pastor could wear it, even though they're not ordained, and they were allowed to wear it even though they didn't go through the ordination process. But it's not as likely. And again, that was his opinion and his experience. I personally have seen both, and I'm sure you have seen both as well, where the collar has been used or hasn't been used. And honestly, when you go and see that, you don't usually go up to the person, hey, are you a priest? Are you a local pastor? Are you a local licensed pastor? Are you an ordained pastor? What's your job title? Usually it doesn't come up. It's usually just set apart for a religious leader, for the most part. The history of the collar goes way back to the Again, separation of clergy from laity back in upwards of the 6th century. But more and more, as things started to evolve, there was a greater concern about separating from the laity. In the 13th century, a lot of the laity were getting scholarly degrees, professors, and so forth, and they were starting to wear the same robes that you would ordinarily see with church pastors and priests and the religious leaders. So to separate them apart, this was one of the clerical collars was one of the ways to separate them from the general membership or the general laity. So that was another way that they could do that. They had a bunch of different types of collars out there. In fact, the references at the end, if you so desire, you can look on the second reference, actually shows you the collar designs and how they have evolved over the years. They used to be lace, they almost look like scarves around the neck. Some of them came down further, mid-chest, and you can see where they evolved to a point where they are today with a simple white collar around their neck. So they've gone through evolutions, not just the collar as an additional piece to separate the clergy, but the evolution of the collar itself. Like I said, both academic and the clerical attire originated from medieval times, and they have evolved and taken on different meanings as time has gone on. The collar, however, didn't actually come from the Catholic denomination. It was actually from the Protestant Reformation and the Protestant background or denomination. The Catholics have adopted it, definitely as a priest type ordination or ornament that goes on their shirt and their attire. However, it was not started by the Catholic Church. In fact, the Roman collar, as it was called in Chuck-Nose Church, was developed, and the Protestants developed their own traditions to distance themselves from the church when they were doing it as well in the 19th century. So a little history there on the collar. Also, like I said, the Protestant, not the Catholics. The collar was also used after the Reformation as a Roman clerical attire. Like we said, scarves were used signifying clerical status around the 17th century, and that's where you can see in that second set of references the different styles of the clerical collars, which again was kind of neat to see how they evolved and the different things that were put on priests and pastors to differentiate them from laity. Alright, that was kind of quick. We did have that extra Chuck-Nose Church in there. That it's kind of important to not forget the Christmas season and the true meaning there. So we hope you enjoyed both Chuck-Nose Churches and this video or reference. We're going to continue with a discussion on Facebook and in person here at the church, where we talk a little bit about the hustle and bustle of Christmas. What do we think about where Christmas has come all these years? Just like the collar has evolved over the years, Christmas has evolved over the years, and where it is now and what we were thinking about it. So stay tuned for that. And obviously next month we will catch you again where we have a new episode and a new topic of Chuck-Nose Church and a topic that we can reference. Alright, hope you enjoyed and have a good night.